Hey everybody, it's Pamela, and I want you to take a look at this wall behind me because today's episode is all about the wall. Actually, it's about how to achieve your goals, but I thought all about the wall sounded more catchy. So in the first half of this video, I'm going to talk about how to accomplish your goals and what to do if you're not sure where to start. In the second half, I'm actually going to show you the technique I'm using, the specific technique I'm using to take this wallpaper off the wall. I've had a couple people ask me to share my technique with them because they're about to do some home renovations. So I hope you stick around for that. But if not, if you don't want to see the technique for the wallpaper, at least watch the first half of this video because I'm going to go into accomplishing your goals when you're not sure how to start. So definitely join me for that part. So what I've done is I am taking the wallpaper down off of this wall. You can see half of it's done. You can kind of see part of the other half of the wall, but this is 50% completed. And as I was doing this work, taking the wallpaper down, I realized that there is a really great lesson to be learned here that I wanted to share with you guys. And so I'm turning my camera on and I'm just kind of pouring my heart out as I go. This is not scripted or anything like that, but I just wanted to share my thoughts about this process. The whole point of today's video is to communicate to you that you really can accomplish anything you set your mind to. I remember one time when I was living up in Rochester, New York, which is where I'm originally from, my dad came to visit me at my apartment one day. I think he brought me some mail that I had, that came to the house, and he brought it to me at my apartment. And I don't even know how we got to talking about it, but he stood there in my apartment and he told me, Pamela, you have all kinds of brains. You can accomplish anything you want to in the world if you only set your mind to it. And to this day, I don't really remember why. I'm gonna start getting choked up now. But to this day, I don't really remember why he said that to me or what the context of the discussion was. But I remember it like it was yesterday, him standing right in front of me and telling me how confident he was in me, in my abilities. And, I think at the time, I almost didn't believe him. I know that I'm capable of things. I know that if I put my mind to things, I can accomplish them. Intellectually, I know this, but it was a while before I really believed it in my heart and really accepted what he told me that day as the truth. So as I do this wall, and as I think back on that conversation with my dad, as all these things are going through my mind, I'm like, I've got to turn the camera on and talk about this because this is important. So what's the lesson here? This wallpaper, and in fact, you might see it right here, one of my cats used as her scratching post because it's textured wallpaper, not my taste. This was here when I moved in, and I rent this place. So my cat was using this texture as her scratching post and really kind of damaged the wallpaper to the extent that when they actually go to sell this house, or if another renter comes in here, this wall is not going to work this way. So I got permission from my landlord to actually take the wallpaper down. And really it was between that and paying for it out of my security deposit. So I decided that why not take it down myself? That way I can do this wall the way I want. I can decorate it the way I want so that I can shoot videos here and have it look nice in the background rather than having a white backdrop up, which is what I've been doing. To cover up all this mess. I knew I didn't want to hire anybody to do this job because A, I didn't want to spend the money, and B, I know that I'm capable of doing this myself. It's just a matter of figuring out how to do it. So I talked with a friend of mine about it, and he mentioned that if I use a steamer, it will help me take the wallpaper down. Okay, so that is all the information I had at my disposal about how to get wallpaper off of a wall. And I thought to myself, I have a small handheld steamer, but it's mine. I don't have to rent equipment. I can just use the equipment I have. And I went to Home Depot and I bought a paint scraper, and I just started. I started in the upper left corner here, and I kind of figured out how to scrape the wallpaper off the wall as I was going. So what's the point of all this? Why am I telling you all this? I knew that I was capable of doing it myself, but I didn't know how to do it. So I just started. That's kind of the point. I know it sounds oversimplified, but in order to accomplish this goal of getting this wallpaper down, I just took the information I had, that I needed a steamer and I needed a scraper, and I started doing it. Now, you can look at like the way left-hand side of the wall, and then this second panel here, the wallpaper was divided into panels, so that's how I'm taking it down. And you can see that this second panel here is a much more clean job than the first one over on the far left of the wall, because I refined my technique as I was going. I didn't wait to learn like advanced wallpaper removal techniques. I knew I didn't want to use chemicals, so the steamer was great because that's water. Now this is not really a complicated job, it's just taking wallpaper down, so it's not a big thing in the grand scheme of things. I did make some mistakes when I first started, which you can see over here, but what that allowed me to do was learn from those mistakes and refine my technique as I went. And now I'm just doing like this really clean, I mean, there's still some residue on the wall. It's gonna have to be sanded either way. You're never gonna get 100% off the wall the first try. But I have a lot less work to do to improve this part of the wall than over there. I don't know, I just think this is important, because if I had waited to learn about this stuff before starting, I might not have even gotten this much done yet. And now 50% of the wall is done. It's like such a small example of what you can do when you set your mind to it. I didn't learn what I needed to know about this job. I knew very little about it, in fact, to begin with, but I took the knowledge that I did have, I just started, and I refined my technique as I moved on. And that's really what I want to be telling you today is, whatever your goal is, you can totally teach yourself this stuff. I mean, yes, hire a contractor if it's a complicated job and requires specialized equipment, but for something like this, you can totally teach yourself how to do this. Maybe you want to learn a new skill online, like a new programming language, or you want to learn about branding because you're starting a new company and you need to brand your company somehow or do personal branding. All of this is literally at your fingertips to learn. If you just Google and go online, check out how business really works, which is another show that I do. Check out some of the videos I've done with guests and partners there. Check out Gary Vaynerchuk. I love Gary Vaynerchuk. He's all about personal branding and hustle and all that stuff. He's so inspirational. Check out London Real. I mean, there are all kinds of examples of free information right at your fingertips if only you go look for it. You can teach yourself to do whatever it is that you need to do or that you want to do or that you desire to do if you only get started. Don't wait till the perfect conditions come and appear, because those conditions are never going to appear. You know, a lot of people think to themselves, oh, I don't want to buy a new outfit or buy new pants until I lose 10 pounds. Or I don't want to start a new business or even just a side hustle until I have a little more money put away, or whatever it is. They wait for the perfect conditions to magically appear before they can actually accomplish their goals. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work that way. It actually works the opposite direction. You start, you make mistakes, you fail, you refine your technique, and you move on with a better technique, and then conditions will improve. That's when the conditions will appear for you to be successful, because you started. I have faith in you. I know you can learn this stuff. It's not rocket science. And even if it is rocket science, if you want to learn rocket science, I bet you could find free courses on rocket science at like MIT's website, or the MOOC, I think it's called, MOOC, Massive Online Courseware, or something like that. There are free courses available for you to learn those things. So you have no excuse. None. You have no excuse. So I'm going to turn to getting this wall finished now, and I do hope you stick around for part 2 of this video, because I'm going to actually show you how I'm doing the wall. Okay, so I've done most of the wall, and it's actually a couple days later now. I've been doing this wall over a series of days, and I decided to just stop right here, because this is a really good point at which I can show you in detail my technique. So the first thing you're going to notice is that it's in a diagonal pattern from left to right. I go low to high, left to right, and that's because I'm left-handed. So I started at the far left hand of the wall, and I'm working my way towards the right. And the reason I do that is because as I steam, which you're going to see in a minute, the steam will rise and it'll kind of get in the way of my scraping. So I always go steam first, then my scraping hand. So if you're right-handed, then you can start at the right and just reverse what I'm doing. Very easy. So I'm going to turn the steamer on. And we're probably going to have to wait a minute for it to heat up. So this steamer is actually from Container Store. While we're waiting for it to heat up, it's from Container Store. It's called My Little Steamer Go Mini. And it's like 11 bucks. So it's really cheap, or maybe 14, I don't know. It's just a travel steamer. I don't have a bigger steamer to use on the wall, but actually, as you're gonna see, even a bigger steamer isn't gonna make that much difference in terms of time because you can only scrape so much wallpaper off at a time. This is really handy, it's very easy to use, and it's very light, so that's what I'm using. All right, here we go, it's starting to steam up. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just do like a little general steaming of the area that I want to remove. And I do just small areas at a time. And I'm doing this general steaming just to soften up the paper because it's going to be, brittle. I haven't done this in a day or so, so it's dried out from my last steaming session. So I just want to soften the wallpaper up a little bit in this general area. And then once I'm ready to actually take the wallpaper off, I'm going to hold the steamer up to a specific location for 3, 4, 5 seconds. And I'm just going to bring the scraper in and start scraping. And you'll see it's really it really gets in there. And I'm holding the steamer right up to the wall because I really want it to penetrate the glue. So it does a great job of softening up the glue. I mean, you can see it's coming off really easily. And I only have to go in and scrape underneath to get it off. So as I scrape, I'm going with the steamer first, and I'm always making sure to keep my hand away from the steam. And as I go, I'm going to pull this away from the wall. And what this will do is actually form a flap. So I'm kind of forming a flap with the wallpaper, and that will also protect my hand from being burned. And yes, I have burned my hand once or twice. So I've learned these little tricks to protect my hand from being burned. That's the last thing you want to do. Here's a little bit of a piece that I didn't get before. So really that's kind of my technique for getting this wallpaper off, is just to hold up the steamer, hold it in place for a second, and go in and scrape. And I've done that with the whole wall. And yes, it does take a while. I mean, like I said, this is a small steamer. I'm working in small patches at a time, but I've done it all myself. I didn't have to pay for any equipment. I didn't hire anybody to come here. So it, it kind of makes me feel proud that I've just taught myself how to do this. This is not a super complicated task, but even if I were trying to learn something more complicated, I want you guys to come away from this video, A, knowing how to remove wallpaper, do it yourself, and B, also just having a sense of the fact that you can accomplish things, and you need to believe that you're capable. And that's my lesson for today. Another thing I wanted to add too is while I'm scraping, you can see how easily the wallpaper is coming off, but there is some residue of the glue and the underside of the wallpaper still here. That's going to be totally normal. Taking the wallpaper off with a steamer is not the last step, that's the first step. So what's going to happen after this is all done is I'm going to sand the wall and then paint the wall. So if you see residue, if you're doing this kind of home job, if you see this kind of residue, it's totally fine. Just get to the point where when you're scraping the wallpaper off, you really get in there and get underneath the glue so that you're getting as much of it off as you can. So you just want to do as clean a job as you can the first time around, and then whatever's left on the wall you're just going to have to sand, which you would have to do anyway. So the steamer has run out of steam, and this is a good place to show you this. I try and keep a flap on here when I'm steaming too. I think I mentioned a minute ago, just to protect my hand from the steam. But it's getting very big. I don't want the flap to be this big, so I'm going to grab a pair of scissors and I'm just going to cut a little bit off of it. I'll be right back. Okay, you want to do this when the wallpaper is still flexible from the steam. Don't wait till it dries out because it'll be just harder to cut. So I actually usually wait till I have more of the wallpaper scraped off, so I cut off bigger sections, but just for today, since I'm showing you what's happening, I'll just do it right now. So what this does is it allows me again to have the flap to protect my hand, but I don't want to have too much because then I can't see what I'm doing with the wall. I would say this is about 3-4 inches or so. Have that maybe up to 6 or 7 inches, but once you get past 6 or 7 inches, then you can't really see what you're doing with the wall. That's the time to cut it off. And normally I would cut off a whole strip from here up to the highest point, but again, I'm just showing you how I'm doing it, so I wanted to cut it now. So that's my technique, and I hope you've learned something from this video, that you've taken away not only a good home improvement technique. I can't wait to do this wall. It's gonna look so much better when the wallpaper is all down and it's sanded and painted and I have it decorated the way I want. I'm really excited about that. And I hope you, I don't know, just learned about teaching yourself to do things and yeah, being proud of your accomplishments. I'll see you next time. Bye.